This is the last part of a three-part video series where I design and fabricate this shifter to emulate the throw of a manual transmission shifter while still putting this automatic transmission in gear. There's still some refinements to be made, but we'll discuss that later in the video. Alright, what I'm trying to do here is replicate using the factory manual stick. In the truck, I went and measured. We have 5.5 inches of travel on the manual stick. So I want to replicate that, having 5.5 inches of travel, and I need 2.4 inches of travel on the shift cable. So what I've come up with is a pivot point. This is approximately, I want to say 5 inches here. I'll get measurements later. So we're going to start with it in that position and pull backwards to get my 5 inches of travel there. And there it is. So that's at 5 inches of travel there. And this actually, I need a longer arm here because my original goal was use half of this length. So if this is 5 inch, we'll make this 2.75 inch from that pivot point to there. And then from here to there, I want to add 2.5 to 2.75 inches, and that will sweep bam. So this is actually overdriven too much at this time. I'm going to reduce the overdrive from this ratio to that ratio, and also I just realized this is backwards. So I'm going to flip this piece over and put the pivot point over here. I'm also going to work on packaging. We might actually put that point up here, bringing this arm further down at its starting point. So instead of this being an L shape, it's going to drop that down a little bit, and so as it sweeps, it still clears the top pivot point. So I'm working on packaging and also the ratio, kind of like a gear ratio, but it's a leverage ratio, which gears are levers. They're just infinite levers. So anyway, that's what I've come up with so far. We're trying to engineer our own shifter that still uses the factory manual shift arm with approximately the same travel. So that's what I'm up to here, and we're getting pretty close. Alright, what we have here is a 10mm Heim joint. I've bumped this hole up to where this 10mm bolt fits through. I believe that size is a 13/32 because I didn't have a 10mm drill bit, obviously. So that part fits perfectly. The next step is I have a coupler here that screws onto the end of my shift cable. I believe this is a B&M style shift cable, so I can buy replacements pretty easy online or off the shelf. And so that coupler fits the cable, and now I'm going to bump the inside hole of this just a little bit above 10mm, so the outside of this coupler will fit in there. If I had a lathe handy, I'd just knock the corners off this and it would drop right in there, but I don't. So my solution is I'm going to drill this out and more or less use this as a bushing. I'm going to drop it in there and plug weld it. Alright, in this video we're going to be fabricating some parts, putting them together to get the shifter ready to work. I've got the shift lever, shift arm here. That's the factory one off the transmission. We bumped it up to 3/8. That wasn't quite large enough, so I found a real fine step bit. Went to 13/32. We've got a 10mm Heim joint. That bolt and that Heim joint fit great together with that 13/32 hole there. That part's ready to go. For the shift cable here, I think this is compatible with a B&M style shifter. can't reinvent everything and just had to order something. You know, I needed a shift cable that I could still reorder later. So this is a 5mm thread. So what I've found is, I'll have to zoom in and show you this. This is a coupler instead of a nut. It's just a really long threaded nut. That will screw onto this cable, and it doesn't quite fit on the inside of this heim joint. So it doesn't quite fit on the inside of the heim joint, but what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and drill this until that fits. So the next step, I'm going to drill the inside of this till the coupler just fits inside. We'll also probably drill some holes through the side of the heim joint, and we'll plug weld that in so that heim joint will screw easily onto this cable. This portion of the fabrication will be done and completed at that step. The next step after this is we're going to go to the transmission. We're going to get the angle iron bolted up and locate where we're going to put the cable on the transmission. I've got some pictures off the internet of the shift cable going to this shift arm or shift lever on the transmission, and I believe it kind of comes down at an angle. It doesn't come in horizontal, and it doesn't come in vertical. It kind of comes in more of a 45. I'll try to guesstimate that best I can and see what works for this setup with this cable, and then we'll begin fabricating the other end of the shifter body itself. So hopefully we'll get it all in one video. If not, all right. We've returned. I did dig around and find a finer drill index, and this drill index actually does happen to be metric. Didn't recall where it was when I was looking for drill bits earlier, but when I was looking for finer steps or finer resolution between steps, this is what I did find, and it's what I came up with. So we're going to go ahead and finish drilling this. Test fit that. Goes down in there quite well without being too loose, I hope. And we'll just drill some small holes through the side to plug weld. That's the way I'm engineering this in my head. Alright, small holes. It's important to put the drill bits back in their drill index as soon as you're done with them. Really helps keep you from losing them if you put them away. Keeps them sharp too, because they're not bouncing around in the toolbox or bouncing around with a bunch of other tools, doling them out. Try to see if I can get it drilled the rest of the way. There we go. We'll be dropping that coupler in there and plug welding it in position. There it is. So we have the coupler. We have the heim joint. It's been drilled so the coupler fits inside there. We also have holes drilled from the side, so we plug weld that in position. Hey, I'm going to interrupt this video just for a second. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your buddies, binge watch some of this stuff, dig up some of the older footage off the channel, because it's there to be watched, and that's how we're going to grow this channel. Is you guys have to go and watch those videos for me, because I can't do it. All right, now we're recording. I just did a step. Didn't record. Thought I had the camera on record. What we're doing here is we stitched a weld. We took the bushing out. We stitched a weld around the top, buzzed it flat, and then we threw a washer on top of there with the bushing back in, and then stitched it some quick tacks. And we're throwing an extra washer on. We're going to tack that, and we'll throw probably a third washer on and tack that. Just trying to make this arm stable as it can be to that bushing, because I saw a lot of wiggle in there that I didn't want. It was unintended wiggle, and that was preventing this arm from having a proper reaction against this arm. This arm is the one I've labeled as A and this is B, and for some reason I labeled this one as L because it's L-shaped bracket. So I went from L, A, and B. So L was not having a proper reaction with A. That's what we're trying to correct here by adding some washers to add to this bushing to add stability to both the bushing and this arm. Washer on there. I'm glad I bought a bunch of extra washers this last round to the hardware store. I was getting tired of going to the hardware store for little pieces like this. This close to the end of this project. It's just a lot of trips to the hardware store sometimes can slow the whole thing down. And then you get back and remember all the stuff that you were supposed to buy that didn't get put in the cart for whatever reason. Alright, let's cool that back down. This is just what I have, this water is in there. Oh yeah, let's cool that down before it ruins that bushing. Yeah, she's good and hot. Water of champions. I did dump out whatever was left of that guy's beer and throw water in there. Alright, she's stitched up. Got one more bead right there. Alright, I just finished fabricating this to a point where I'm very happy with how it's functioning. Finished the welds. Got all these pieces in there. Put the washers in where I wanted them. I've got the spacer in here holding this. Basically this top plate keeps these pivots here in position and also keeps things from walking off of these pins. Right now I just have the one bolt here with the spacer. This bolt was actually interfering there. We'll put a new one up there or maybe back here somewhere. We'll figure that out at a later time and date. But this part is functional right now. I'm pretty happy with it. Right now it's in park. We'll be able to pull. There's reverse. There's neutral. There's drive. And then we've got some additional drive clicks there. So we're able to get all the drive clicks and then be able to go through all the gears and go all the way back to park. So still having to stabilize this because it's not bolted down, it's barely clamped in position, but park. That's functioning. So we're at a good stopping point for this part of the video. We'll see you in the next one. Y'all behave. Don't forget to wrench every day. Alright, here's the 10mm heim joint attached to the shift arm there. You can see it's threaded onto that 5mm push-pull cable. The nut is welded inside there, and you can see there's the plug welds. So that's all put together. It's happy, it works good. The next thing, we're going to actually rearrange this. We've figured out we can bolt to these two holes, make a smaller angle iron bracket that will come from this side and hold that push-pull cable in position from that side. So that's a further refinement. Instead of using this whole long piece of angle iron, we'll be able to make a much smaller piece that will bolt into there and do the same task. Alright, so earlier in the video I point out these two pins are just pivot points. They're welded onto the back plate back there. This is a spacer here. I've not remade the spacer itself. I'm just using washers right now till I get my final fitment and everything right. This is welded. That's the bolt drops through there, welded in position. That's the pivot point for this end of the push-pull cable. Uh, these uh, these are just small heim joints. I don't remember. I believe these are a 5/16 or a 10 mil as well. But these have the male shaft on them. The other one's a female one. Um, but these, again, I've just got nuts welded to spacer material, and I've determined that I want to shorten this up just a little bit, bringing this part up to where it would be flush with the bottom of this plate. Trying to package this better and continually package it better so it can fit between the floorboard and the transmission in the truck. So that's the game plan there.